Welcome back to another edition of the Coaster101 podcast. Today, I'm your host, Nick Weisenberger, coming to you from Dublin, Ohio. Yes, Andrew has the week off, so I'm taking over the show for today. And we've got a great show for you. If you listened to the podcast earlier this summer, we had the theme park engineering alumni community members talking about their design competition. Quick recap. So last year, at the beginning of the year, there were a lot of college students across the country that were looking forward to doing internships and summer programs at theme parks all over the country. And then we know COVID hit, pandemic hit, and a lot of those opportunities went away. So the theme park engineering group alumni members stepped in, decided to do something to help. So they created this design competition so that students could showcase some of their skills in replacement of those lost internship opportunities. And luckily, they decided to keep that competition going this summer as well. If you want to hear more of that, the story behind the competition, go listen to that episode from May. I'll link to it in the show notes. Today, we have with us the winners of the 2021 competition, Team 8. So I want to welcome you guys to the show. And why don't you go around virtual room here and introduce yourselves, where you're from, what you're studying, maybe what your career goals are.
Okay, I can start first. Hi, my name is Ethan. I'm from Hong Kong. I am a theater major. And my goal after I graduate is probably to go into theater, most likely, or just the themed entertainment industry.
Hi, and I'm Jasmine. I'm from Florida, and I am a mechanical engineering major. And then my goal when I graduate is to try to get into the theme park industry.
Yeah, hi, my name is Nigel. I'm also a mechanical engineering major. I'm from Singapore, near Ethan, kind of. My goal when I graduate is to get into the themed entertainment industry in some way, hopefully as an engineer, and continue being in that industry and see where it takes me.
And I'm Kevin. I am from New Canaan, Connecticut. I am majoring in industrial engineering here at Northwestern. And my goal for when I graduate is still mostly TBD, but I think I want to do something either with consulting or perhaps manufacturing.
Awesome. So it sounds like you guys come from quite a few different places and backgrounds. So how did you hear about this competition, and how did you decide to make a team together?
We heard about this competition. Originally, we took part in the first version of this competition last year in 2020. It wasn't all four of us, but Kevin and I were both on the team with two other students. And we heard about that through, how did we hear about that? I think we heard about that through some other students from other theme park clubs in other universities. And we thought it was a great idea. A lot of us, as you mentioned earlier, we're in that situation where our internships got canceled and we didn't really have a lot of things to do over the summer. And we thought it was a great opportunity. And at that point of time, we had also just started up this new theme park engineering and design group at our university, Northwestern University. So all four of us go there. Actually, I founded the club together with my friend Aaron in 2020. And this was one of the first few competitions that we wanted to take part in. And because we had such a good time doing it last year, we decided to do it again this year.
So did you guys, at least some of you, know each other before the competition started? Because I found that was one of the interesting things about the team that won last year is none of the members had actually met each other before the competition, which was pretty crazy to me.
Okay. But yeah, we knew each other. So as I said, Kevin and I had worked on the competition last year, and all four of us had met each other and worked on different projects with our theme park engineering and design group. Though this, like today, right now, is the first time we are all seeing each other in person.
Yeah.
Really?
As well, because
awesome.
we've all been on Zoom.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we could make that happen for you. General, like the theme park engineering group questions, have you done any other competitions besides this one?
Yes. So as Nigel said, we did take part in this version of the competition last year. I believe also we took part in the haunted house competition hosted by, was that Indiana?
UCSD.
UCSD, thank you. Hosted by UCSD back in winter, spring of this year. Any other ones that I'm forgetting?
I was also on the team, one of the teams that participated in the Cornell theme park design
Okay.
competition back in like the spring quarter.
Okay. For this competition, the TPEG alumni competition, there's a different theme, a different prompt every year. Last year, it was based on like a piece of artwork. Can you guys explain what the prompt for this season's competition was?
So yeah, so this year's competition prompt was to design a themed land or zone based on 2 of the 4 elements: air, fire, water, and earth. And this is for a fictional theme park that is in Kansas.
So I guess just like walk me through the process. Once you formed your team, what was the first step? Like brainstorming ideas, or how did that go along?
Yeah, so our first couple of meetings were just like purely brainstorming, where we used Google Jamboard, and we basically like had these different like sections on the Jamboard where we like put every possible combination, like every possible like 2 combination of the 4 elements, and then we just took like a few minutes and we just like all this, brain dumped any possible I theme that could come from like the combination of those 2 elements, and it just came out like a bunch of wacky kind of different things that we could come up with. And then we would like narrow down from like each possible combination until we ended up with this Greek theme that combined water and air. And then like once we came up with the theme, we also did brainstorming sessions for like every like individual element of the park. And yeah, and then along with like the Greek theme, we thought about the at the time that the brainstorming was going on, like the Olympics were about to go on. So we thought including this like an Olympics element to it would like make it a little more timely and kind of spice things up. So
Google Jamboard?
hmm
I've actually never heard of that before.
oh yeah.
If you've used Miro, like Miro,
Mhm.
or Mural, which is Mural,
Yeah.
I don't know why they both sound the same, but
Yeah.
it's essentially like that. It's just Google's version of that. I think a lot of us have used it in one form or another because of online classes that have been going on for a while.
Yeah.
So we're kind of used to that by
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. It's just like a digital board where you can pretty much like put like, digital sticky notes
Those-
on the
Oh,
board.
okay.
And just like it's really a good tool for just brain dumping and just coming up with
Yeah.
like a bunch of different stuff.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Were there other ideas that you had that were just rejected before you settled on your final theme?
Yeah, there were a few. There were a couple of like heaven and hell type ideas.
Yeah,
I
there
remember
really were.
those.
Yeah.
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 There was also one for like steampunk. Like we
Oh,
wanted to do like a
yeah.
steampunk,
Oh,
like
yeah.
retro 19th century stuff. But yeah, in the end we thought of like the most cohesive ideas for the competition, and we landed on the Olympics and the Greek gods.
So then once you pick that theme, then, I mean, you basically have to start making a theme park, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened next? Like, do you start just thinking about the rides and attractions, or like what was the next step in your process?
Yeah, so with this given prompt, we had a kind of set list of all the different rides and attractions that we had to come up with. We had to come up with 2 rides, 1 sit down dining, 1 quick service dining, a merchandise location, a signature merch item, and an interactive entertainment offering. And so we kind of took time for each of these different elements to dedicate time brainstorming and kind of pulling together the ideas. And ultimately, we settled on, kind of tying it all into that ancient Greek theme.
When you were working on this project, did you go back and look at any of like last year's projects as like inspiration, or try to see what they did well, that kind of thing?
Yes, yeah, we did look back at some of the winners to kind of see what like different things they included that like really fleshed out kind of the way that they're able to like communicate their ideas. So just we could, better just show what we have for this park and just all the different things we designed.
I guess walk us through the park a little bit. And I guess for anyone interested, I'll put in the show notes too the link to your presentation where you can see all the sketches and the ride layout and everything like that. I'm looking at the presentation now. Everyone's going to enter with a RFID band. So you have the challenges of Olympus.
Well, I guess, again, the overall theme for this land was the Olympics. We called the title of the land Mount Olympics, tying in both Mount Olympus, the Greek gods, and kind of the ancient and modern day Olympics. The basic kind of theming of this is that the Greek gods are hosting an Olympics Games, and you, as the guest, are invited to come and participate. So we're having kind of a blending between an ancient setting with also a bit of a modern twist as well. As I said before, we broke it down into all those different types of ride and attractions, and so we can kind of maybe just loop through and each name a couple of them that we covered.
Yeah, sure. So our main headliner attraction, I guess, would be the Matchday Madness attraction. So it's basically an interactive family dark ride where guests can sit in chariots and then they'll go through different show scenes in a building where they'll like shoot stuff at the screens and shoot monsters along with the Greek gods.
And the other big attraction was called Race for the Skies, Zeus versus Poseidon. So that's a really like thrilling dueling coaster, and we wanted to do something that hasn't really been done before. So that dueling coaster comprises a kind of straddle motorcycle type ride vehicle on one side, and the other side it's a flying coaster vehicle. Yeah, so we thought that was pretty cool. We also had some of our interactive elements from our merchandise item play in to the ride layout, so that was fun.
Did you have to consider like the budget or anything when coming up with these rides, or could you just let your imagination run wild?
It was, yeah, we had unlimited budget.
Yeah.
To let your imagination run wild, come up with the coolest concepts.
Coolest, wildest ideas possible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like a motorbike kind of style coaster, dueling with a flying one would be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And then a couple of the food offerings that we had in the park was, for our sit-down dining, we came up with Heracles Gymnasium and Diner, and that's basically like a fun character dining experience where you can come in and have, dinner while the Greek gods are like training around you, and then like every so often they like hop up on a stage and like act out different famous myths. And then as for like our quick service location, it's called Demeter's Harvest and Dionysus' Den, where it's basically this like kind of open air type marketplace where you can walk up to like food chariots rather than food trucks and get different food. And then like in the nighttime, like Dionysus kind of takes it over. So then we have like different like neon lights that come up, and yeah, so you can just enjoy a bunch of different types of food at either of these locations.
Yeah, I love in your presentation. I really love the attention to detail that you guys have. I mean, I'm looking right now at there's a storyboard for the dark ride and an overhead layout of the whole track path. How long did it take to come up with that?
In general, I think for a lot of the rides or like a lot of the deliverables that we came up with, they were actually done pretty late in the game. But I think what made them easier was we spent a lot of time. We front loaded our project, really fleshing out the story and how that will be told through the different attraction and experiences that guests will encounter through the land. And so when it did come down to drawing a ride layout or drawing the storyboards for the rides, we all had a very solid understanding of what kind of experiences the guests will have and how the story will be told through these attractions. I think we did the storyboards and the layouts within like 1 week. I think it was kind of like the last week.
Really? Wow, that's impressive. So what tools or software did you use to help convey the story ideas in the presentation? So a lot of the artwork is really good.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I did most of the artwork. So so I'll just give a run through of all the tools that we used. So for the fly through, which is the YouTube video that we linked in the presentation, we used SketchUp to make the model, and then to also like set the camera angles so that it kind of like flew through the entire park. And for the smaller models, like the chariot model, we used SolidWorks and CAD for that. And for the dark ride layout, we used Revit, and for the artwork, we used an iPad app called Procreate. For logos, we used Canva, and also, just the trusty pencil and paper.
The artwork and the diagrams do a good job of just conveying the idea of everything. Like I said, the attention to detail is awesome. Like you have in the diner here, you have the whole menu listing out all the appetizers and the entrees and even the prices. Mm-hmm. Did you make any of the food items you came up with?
Oh, like in real life?
Yeah.
Oh.
Nah, that was actually the plan.
Yeah.
That was the plan, man. But then we were getting like really close to the wire, and I had to spend time on other deliverables rather than spending some time in my kitchen. I was like drawing my sketch pad.
But we can try.
We can try it,
in person. So,
in person. Yeah, now that we're all here, and then maybe we'll just get up and make some, kebabs
like a dinner
together.
Dinner night. Yeah.
That would have been cool though if we.
Yeah.
One thing we did make was actually, this was just for fun, and this was like the night before we found out that we won. I was at my workplace, which has a lot of 3D printers, and I decided to print out the ride vehicle that we 3D modeled for the attraction. So that was pretty cool to see it in like miniature form. But that was like the only thing we actually, I guess, made in real life.
So how did you go about managing your time on the project? Did you come up with like a schedule at the beginning, or was it just kind of go along and then and then be like, oh crap, this is due? Or did you have a plan?
A bit of both.
A bit of both.
We highly utilized Gantt charts and RAM charts for this project. Really kind of stepping out which deliverables we're going to work on each week and kind of how much time we want to dedicate to the brainstorming, then the working on them. As we said before, naturally, those kind of were a bit flexible, and it did end up being a lot of the actual deliverables we were working on towards the end of the project. But overall, we were very strict in determining, which deliverables we would work on when.
Just like we experienced at the beginning of trying to record this podcast, no matter how well prepared you are, something always goes wrong. There's always something unexpected that comes up, so you got to expect the unexpected.
That's right.
For each of you, what was something that you learned by doing this project?
I would say that I personally learned a lot more about kind of like theme park planning in terms of, like laying out, an attraction and laying out a land and like in terms of spacing and, it's like kind of studying some of the stuff that like Nigel did for, the dark ride layout and like the roller coaster layout, just seeing all the different spaces you have to like allocate for was just something that I learned a lot from, because it hasn't been something I've been able to learn a lot about so far. So I'm glad I got to, see that.
I think as for me, what I learned most was actually working on digital modeling. I know I did a lot of the kind of large scale SketchUp modeling, while Nigel did a lot more of the smaller CAD and Revit models. But SketchUp is something that I had a decent amount of experience with before, but this project really gave me an opportunity to fully get my hands on and kind of expand my skills in that regard. And I am very, very happy with how our digital model came out at the end. I think it adds a lot to the overall presentation of the project.
Yeah, definitely.
For me, I think the most important thing that I learned through this project is that since it's my first time participating in like a design competition for like theme park design and engineering stuff like that, so it's kind of like the first time for me to put the skills and knowledge that I've learned over the years unconsciously, kind of like putting it into practice or in context in a new way. So that was kind of fun for me.
And I think for me, the biggest thing I learned was how we can effectively communicate our ideas and stories in a concise way, especially for this project compared to last year's, where there was like an unlimited number of slides you could give for the presentation. This year, they told us you can only give 12. And so we would have to budget it, and we needed to think like, what are the most important things we need to show to, or in our pitch, to kind of sell this idea and to get the story across. And I think like, for example, one thing that we really knew we wanted to put in was like a sensory map, and we did that last year as well. And those were well received by the judges because they felt that really gave you an idea of what the guests will experience and the through their five senses when they walk through this land. So yeah, I think that was what I learned. And also I learned a lot about Greek gods, which I did not know.
You said there was a limitation on the number of slides. Were there things that you had to cut out that you wanted to put in?
I think it was more, we just had, because we had like much longer descriptions for things, and it was a lot more like fleshed out, explaining things a little bit more deeply. But then we just had to cut out like, what do we really need to really get across our ideas? Yeah, just like what Nigel said about like learning to be more concise with what is like really like needed in order, to get the point across. Yeah.
Besides that, or what was the biggest challenge of the competition?
I think that this year, especially as compared to last year, the prompt was a lot more general. Last year we were given a prompt of 10 or so artists that we had to pick from and choose to theme a land around. Whereas this year it was pick 2 of the 4 elements and you have to come up with kind of the whole theming behind it. So as we kind of talked about before, we did have a lot of ideas, and narrowing them down and deciding on them was very difficult. And even just once we did get to our Mount Olympic's theme, even just the many ideas we had for all of the different attractions, it was a wide range of different ideas that it took a while to properly narrow down on. Although I do think in the end what we did hone in on was very well thought out.
Yeah, definitely. I think so.
I think with all the ideas we came up with, we could probably fill like an entire theme park or like several lands because
Oh,
just
yeah.
the number of things that we threw out, and only one of them got to see the light of day and fleshed out. But it was fun.
Is there anything else from your presentation you wanted to touch on?
Well, again, I think you mentioned it before, but would like to draw the attention to that fly-through video. I think that it's kind of a very well encapsulation of our project, both combination of the SketchUp model, but then also tying in the different concept art that we made. I do think it was our fun little way of kind of advertising.
Your crowning achievement, so to speak.
Yes.
Like, the best way to experience the parks by watching the video.
Yeah, we definitely really wanted everyone to see it because it was like 7 minutes before like the due date time.
Yeah.
I'm uploading it to YouTube. It's like 7 minutes before, trying to get it up there. So yeah.
And I think we're happy with that too because I remember when we saw the winners from last year's competitions, we saw some of the fly-throughs and we were like, oh, okay, that seems like such a good idea and like we really want to do that. And of course you see for like actual real life theme park projects, you see very professional fly-through. And so it was good for us to, try our hand at that and try out these new things. And I think, every competition that the members of our club, every new competition that we participate in, we learn new things and we try out new things. And I think we're just really happy that we get to grow and keep developing our skills that way.
When you guys found out you won the competition, what was your reaction?
Oh, I think I was the one that saw it first, actually.
Did you
because,
message in the group?
Yeah, because I got in the email and then like I got in like the notification, and I opened it up and like I screamed and my mom was sitting, because my mom was sitting next to me. She's like, oh God, and I was like we won. She was like, oh, congratulations, and I was like, and I'm sitting there freaking out. So I was obviously very happy, but because like I was very proud of our work and I knew we did really well. I was really proud, but just actually seeing that we got first place was just really amazing, and I was just. But yeah, and then after I got the email, I was like reading through it, and then I texted our group chat, and I didn't want to spoil the surprise or anything, so I just sent like, "Have you guys seen the email?" Smiley face, and then like, but yeah, so but yeah, but what about you guys?
Yeah, I think I was like the last person to like learn about the competition results because I was in a different time zone. So I was like 13 hours ahead. So I was like, oh, like I just woke up. I was like, what happened? Like the group chat's like blowing up. So yeah, it's like really fun.
I think Kevin and I were in a meeting, right?
Yeah, I remember that. I think we were in a meeting for another project for this club, and I got the notification during the meeting. I immediately messaged Nigel to be like, hey, wait, did you see this? So that was definitely also a fun surprise.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, it's definitely well earned. Do you guys have any tips, like if you did the competition over, assuming they plan on having this competition again next year, do you have any tips for, like anything you guys would do differently, or do you have tips for other teams if they were to participate?
I think we've touched on it before, but the whole brainstorming process was very essential to our, coming up with our ideas this time around, making sure that all of the ideas were very thoroughly fleshed out and that there was a big backstory behind it, even if we didn't get to share that backstory, but we had it conceptualized in our heads. That was very important to just making sure that the overall land had a consistent story, a consistent theme and a consistent feel. I don't know anything else from you guys about tips or takeaways.
I think for us, and this is like will continue to be useful for any kind of project or competition that we take on, is first of all be to keep ourselves updated on whatever technology and developments there are in the themed entertainment industry, be it new attractions or new kinds of interactive exhibits and things like that. I think it's really useful when all of us are on the same page and when we can take reference from real life projects and be inspired by them too. Yeah.
Where can people go to find out more about the Northwestern Theme Park Engineering Group?
So we have a TPEG. We're on Instagram basically. So if you go to @TPEDNU, you'll find us on there, and we'll do like weekly updates. Usually like during the school year, and we'll like announce like new speaker sessions and just like different events. Usually these are like happening within Northwestern, but sometimes we do reach out to other communities as well. And we also have a website. It's at nutped.weebly.com. And yeah, we'll be updating that regularly, hopefully, this school year.
How long have you guys had a TPEG program there? Is it relatively recently, or it's been a couple years?
Yeah, this is pretty recently. Like as I mentioned, we have yet to meet in person as a club at all.
Really?
And so we're very excited. We're starting school next week, and so we're gonna have our first in-person club session then, and we're very excited to see everyone. So all the stuff, all the competitions, all the projects, we're actually working on a very exciting project right now as well with one of the museums here in Chicago. You know, working with a real life client, and all of these things we've been doing on Zoom online so far because we started up in April of 2020, so right smack in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to say that we've come a long way, and you know, we're really excited on where where we can take this club together.
Is your group only engineers, or can anyone join?
Yeah, absolutely anyone can join this club. Like you know, Ethan right here, he is a theater major. So, you know, definitely anyone can join, and you just have to be passionate about, you know, themed entertainment, and you'll definitely be welcome here.
Awesome. Anything else you guys want to share?
Well, as Nigel said, we will be having our first in-person meeting for this club, I believe, next week. So for any Northwestern students who may be listening to this, if they're interested in joining our club, we are more than happy to have you.
Yeah, if you're listening to this podcast and you're from Northwestern, you ought to be in this club.
Wait, why are you not in the club? You should be in the club. Go join the club.
Yes,
Pause the podcast. Sign up for the club.
Yes.
Play the rest of the podcast.
And also, like, honestly, I would say anyone who's listening to this podcast, like, my friend Aaron and I, when we started this club in 2020, we, you know, wanted to do that because there was nothing like that in our school, and it was daunting, but it was so fulfilling that we actually did it. So, like, I would encourage, like, any other students, if they don't have theme park clubs in their universities, but they are passionate about theme parks, to just try it out and try starting their own club, because it's a lot of fun, and you get to find people who have common interests too.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely wish that there were theme park engineering groups when I was in school. I think the first one started like the year I was graduating.
Wow.
So yeah, I would have loved to do that.
But they're really like more and more coming up in recent years, so it's really cool.
Yeah. So I'm definitely envious and jealous of you guys. Thanks so much for the members of the winning Theme Park Engineering Group Alumni 2021 competition for joining us today. Just a reminder that you can connect with the show by emailing us at podcast@coaster101.com or hitting us up on any of our social media channels at Coaster101 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any episodes. Please give us a rating and review wherever you listen. It helps new listeners find us. We also have our own lines of Coaster 101 and Coaster inspired merchandise at c101.co/shirts. Thanks as always to JM Music Design for providing our theme song. For more info on them, check out jmmusicdesign.com. Thanks for listening.